What's up, guys? Scavenger Reviews here. And surprise, surprise, Transformers 1 is not getting a sequel. Is anyone even surprised? I mean, it seemed like Paramount wanted this to fail. I mean, when that first trailer came out, that first trailer was rough. Like, wow. That movie looked like garbage. Like, absolute hot, stinky, carbonated poo water garbage. And I was the biggest hater of that. I mean, not like the biggest, but like one of the biggest haters of that. You can go back and watch my earlier video. I think I called it like Transformers 1 We Need to Talk or something like that. I don't remember, but I was straight up tearing this movie a new one because it looked awful. I mean, even like the most diehard fans, y'all gotta admit, that first trailer did not paint this movie in a good light. It just looked like some cheesy, stupid slop that was going to have some, kids jokes, and it was just going to be the most pandering shit ever you've ever seen. And I don't know. And oh my god, Bumblebee was just cringy. There's like being like it was like secondhand embarrassment because like every single time Bumblebee or B127 or Badassatron spoke in that first trailer, like I was embarrassed. I was like, I saw that trailer and I was like, damn, people are gonna know I like this. Transformers as a whole, like it looked that bad. And then the second trailer came out, and I'll admit it did look it did look marginally better, still wasn't very helpful for it. Just because first impressions matter, man. And when you give me that first impression, mm mm, you know, I wasn't bumping with it. And I wasn't bumping it with it to the fact that while it was in theaters, I never went to see it in theaters, but like while I was in theaters, I had the money. I was like, you know, maybe I'll go see it this weekend. Nah, I don't really feel like it, because you know what? I was a really big hater of the first trailer of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh god, not Secret of the Mutant Mayhem. Mutant Mayhem. I thought that looked bad too. I thought it was gonna be so annoying listening to all the turtles talk, and I thought it was gonna be so cringy and like all that. I've said this in other videos, but like the "you're fine, chill" line still pisses me off. Just for no reason. No reason really, but it drives me nuts. First impressions matter, and while I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie was just an honest misstep, on the marketing team and stuff like that with that first trailer, or maybe surprise, surprise, I'm just an old boomer, I mean, I'm not even a boomer. I'm like Gen Z. Yeah. Anyways, though, you know what? And when Mutant Mayhem came out, I actually really liked that. Like seriously, I did a whole video on it with my niece and my other like chilling and playing around in the park and stuff. It was really good movie. But so watch that and watch this. Transformers 1 is a good movie too. And you know what Transformers 1 reminded me of? Really reminded me of? Bionicle 3. Let me get the reflection out of the way. Bionicle 3, Web of Shadows. Not Bionicle 1, Mask of Light. Bionicle 2, 4, the countless like movies that have come out in in the past whatever. Bionicle 3. Like cuz this one it's a little twinge of the darkness to it. It still keeps the movie pretty lighthearted, but it gets you. It just the whole time it gave me very serious Bionicle vibes. I really liked both of these movies. I mean, these are virtually identical movies, in my eyes, and I mean that in a good way, not in a bad way. you know. But Bionicle 3 never got a sequel, technically, you know. And Transformers 1 isn't getting a sequel. And Paramount wanted that. I can prove it, you know. Because look at Disney. First of all, everything they do is awful. You know, Ohana means foster care. Foster care means everyone gets left behind so you can go to college. You know? But Disney in the early 2000s, they were starting to phase out. Dude, all fucking day I have not been coughing. The second I go to film a video, what do you know? Anyways, Disney, yeah. Disney was starting to phase out their animated projects because animated projects are very costly to make and take a lot more time to make. You know, actually, I would like to shout out Diamond Bolt. I'm sure millions, of my fans are going to flock to his channel. So, Diamond Bolt, if you're watching this, you're welcome, bud. all one of my fans, which is me. Anyways, though, seriously though, he just did a video talking about like bad CGI and stuff like that, about like why, you know. Anyways, I think I'm mixing him up for a different YouTuber. Yeah, I definitely am. Either way, Diamond Bolt, I love you. You're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. Anyways, in the early 2000s, Disney was phasing out their animated projects, because the traditionally animated projects, because they wanted to not do that anymore. It's, incredibly costly and expensive and takes forever, like I said. So, with not their last animated project, their last traditionally animated project was Princess and the Frog. But in, the early 2000s, they decided to sabotage. I'm telling you, sabotage Treasure Planet. It seemed like they wanted Treasure Planet to fail because they did, like, no marketing, no big posters or anything for Treasure Planet, To Disney, it was just a there and gone movie. To me, one of the most important and influential movies of my life, And Disney wanted it to fail, They didn't necessarily, like, dislike the project, I'm not saying Disney hated the movie. Obviously they liked it, but they didn't want to make any more of that nature because it was so expensive. And that's why, they started to do the CGI. Now, again, like I said, it wasn't the last traditionally animated movie, but it was the marking of the last. It was like, hey, after Treasure Planet, we're going to start slowing down, And that's sad, Because Treasure Planet, like I said, freaking rules, dude. I love Treasure Planet. And Paramount did the exact same thing with Transformers 1. Because look at the Transformers movies. I'm talking about the live action Michael Bay movies, Transformers 2007 comes out, does good. People have their opinions about the designs and stuff like that, but you can't say it didn't make money because it made bank. And it deserves it. I love that first Transformers movie. Revenge of the Fallen comes out, makes bank. Dark of the Moon comes out, makes bank. Age of Extinction comes out, crossover episode. No, Age of Extinction comes out, and yes, makes bank, but it's also the one that broke people, It kind of broke the audience and made people realize, like, are these good movies? Because I personally, I've softened on Age of Extinction. I think it would have been a better movie and done a lot better if it was a whole 30 minutes shorter. It is 2.5 hours. Are you kidding me? Like, there's so much extra fluff and padding that did not need to be in there. Cut out the Romeo and Juliet law scene, please. You can make the movie 5 hours if you want, if you cut that. God damn. You can make the movie 5 hours long if you want, Michael Bay. Just cut out the fucking Romeo and Juliet scene. That's so fucking weird. You know, like, get that out of here. You know, with Age of Extinction, I was like, okay, this is a new start. You know, same universe, obviously, but like a new start, and we're going somewhere different. You know, we've got Optimus, we've got Bumblebee, but besides that, don't have any of the other, you know, Autobots, and don't have Shia LaBeouf, you know, don't have this, don't have that, don't have any connections to Nest. And I honestly did like the Transformers I hated angle. I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, okay, this is cool. You know, I don't think it was exactly executed the best way. You know, I lost a sister in Chicago. Like, yeah, buddy, we all did. Did you fucking see Chicago? You know? However, both in universe and out of universe, like, you can't tell me Optimus Prime did not let thousands of people die to prove a point. Because in the third movie, well, I think it was in the second one, actually. Yeah, the second one. He, like, is talking to the government representative and is like, what if we leave and you're wrong, right? And then you carry that idea over into the third movie where they've had enough of them, you know? They're like, screw you, Optimus, screw you, Autobots, we're kicking you out. And so they agree, you know, they go up on their spaceship and they they go and make it look like they die even though they fall into the ocean, you know? And then Optimus just lets the invasion of Seattle happen. Or not Seattle, was it Seattle? Los Angeles? San Francisco. I don't know. It was a city, okay? I'm gonna call it. I don't remember. I think it was fucking LA, dude. Anyways, but he just lets that happen to prove a point, you know? And, like, even in universe, that's what he did, you know? That was the plan all along. You know, they say, like, you know, when Shia LaBeouf sees, like, all the Autobots rolling up, they're like, wow, how did you get here? And one of the record, I'm pretty sure it's Roadbuster. Yeah, Roadbuster was like, we designed the damn thing, didn't we? You know, and he's like, we were on the first canister that fell into the ocean. They let it happen, you know? Anyways. Boy, I'm getting off topic. What I'm saying is, the fourth movie broke the fans, you know? At least the casual audience. Maybe not the fans, but the casual audience. Still made a shit ton of money, but there was a lot of newfound apprehensiveness over the franchise, you know, where people were like, I like the first three, but I don't know about that fourth one, you know. But they didn't hate the fourth one. They just, I don't know about that fourth one. You know, and then, of course, you've got the people who have hated every single movie. Like, you're lame, you know, just enjoy things, you know. Anyways, though, but, and then the fifth movie came out. And boy, do I really, really hate the fifth movie. The fifth movie is so bad, so awful. The fifth movie is the Rise of Skywalker of the Transformers because, like, The Last Jedi, you know, I might not have agreed with everything they did, but at least I respected them. You know, they went strong and, you know, held to their beliefs, and they were like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, you know, tear down this, tear down that, make new, blah blah blah. And I might not have agreed with it, but at least I respected it. I was like, alright, whatever. The Rise of Skywalker practically doesn't even feel canon, you know? The Rise of Skywalker just feels like 70% of that movie is devoted to apologizing for The Last Jedi. And that's what, like, I don't know. Okay, because I might not have agreed with everything in Age of Extinction, but at least I respected it, you know. I liked the inclusion of the Dinobots. The Dinobots are not in the fifth movie. Well, yes, they are. They're actually in that one. Yeah, they're barely in it. Okay, they're barely in it. I wanted them to be main characters. Main fucking characters. Where are they? You know? Yes, they're in the junkyard scene. Yes, you see the little baby dinosaurs that are totally not meant to sell merchandise. And then they didn't even really sell any merchandise over the baby dinosaurs. You know? I don't know. And then the biggest thing with the fifth movie that I cannot stand isn't even like anything to do with the plot, really. I mean, the biggest thing is this: as you're watching the movie, the screen is constantly shifting because Michael Bay wanted to show off his fancy IMAX cameras and stuff like that. And it just means that the blurs on the top and bottom of the screen are shifting the entire fucking movie. You know what it's like to watch something like that with ADHD, man? I can't focus on a single fucking thing because every single shot, I mean, every single shot, I'm talking from like this angle to this angle, there are, oh, it would have been really cool if I actually did that. But, anyways, there are aspect ratio changes literally between shots of people talking. Not even shots of like action or explosions or blah blah blah. People talking. There are aspect ratio changes of people talking. And I can barely watch the fifth movie. If I say the peak movie viewing experience of how to watch the fifth movie is just take some cardboard and line it up on the top and bottom of your screen so that you can't watch the fucking aspect ratio change like it's having a fucking like panic attack or something. And the fifth movie really broke the fans. Like I said, you know, it just like even I was a diehard for the first three movies, was a little, you know, okay about the fourth one, but I was like, we're doing something different. I can get with this. We're doing something different. The fifth movie, I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't stand by that, you know. That's like when like a friend of yours just keeps going further and further down your path. It's like we were so good when we started out, man. And now they're just like I don't really want to be I don't know that I don't know, man. I I might hang out with you once or twice in like secret, but I ain't going in public with you. You know, I can't take you nowhere. You know? And then Bumblebee happened, okay? And Bumblebee feels a little apologetic, maybe. It's definitely no Rise of Skywalker levels of apologetic, but it feels like, you know, hey, if you weren't driving with these, you know, over complex Bayformer designs, here's a little bit of this for you. And then the rest of the movie happens, and it's cute. I like Bumblebee, you know, I dig it. I've got both. Hold on. So, to be clear, I've got more, but just sitting right here, I've got sitting right next to me Jeep Bumblebee, Volkswagen Bumblebee, and Cybertronian B127 Bumblebee. Pretty cool. Also, Age of Extinction. Because, why not? Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. You know? Anywho. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. It was just too little too late. You know, I don't know. I think it would have been great if we would have got it like 2 movies ago, you know? Maybe not 2 movies ago. Like, I don't know. However, as a reboot, I think it works fine. But that was like forever the question is like the reboot versus prequel debate, which still hasn't been answered technically, but it is a reboot, you know. Like they'll not give you a definitive answer, but it's a reboot, you know. Transformers the movies, live action ones, have always been not very strong in continuity, but there's just way too much breaking the continuity. And Rise of the Beast movie, what a fucking waste. I mean that Beast movie, it just it ain't it, bro. I don't even know how to like I'm not versed enough to accurately describe every problem I have with Rise of the Beast, you know? Besides like the fact that the only two characters in that movie, like Beast characters, like any screen time, are Airazor and Optimus Primal, and I like that. Well, I like them. Anyone want to tell me why Cheeto has a single fucking line of dialogue in the entire movie? What is that? You know? He's just like, sorry to scare you, my friend, or whatever. I don't remember doing my fucking Andor voice there. And it just makes no sense. You know, like I remember hearing that apparently it was supposed to be a trilogy. That clearly didn't fucking happen. And now we're all the way caught up to Transformers 1, and it just, I was broken, dude, you know? 5 was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, you know? Well, Batman v Superman was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. But 5 was just, ugh, you know? Bumblebee, the movie, was like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing this. That opening scene was pretty cool. Rise of the Beasts, it just like, you ruined it. You ruined it, you know? We were this close to perfection, you know, perfecting the plan or whatever he said, whatever Krennic says in Rogue One. I don't remember, but anyways, we were this close, you know, and I was totally on board. I, for the record, would have also really loved the Transformers 6. Like, just finish out the second trilogy, the saga. You know, don't leave us hanging on 5 movies. You know, however, it being a quintology is kind of funny. But just give us, like, Transformers 6 Rise of Unicron, or whatever they would have called it. You know, I miss that, you know? Like, because 5 did kind of bring in the, like, more familiar elements. You know, Ness came back. I believe they were called something different in the 5th movie, but I don't fucking remember the 5th movie. You know, Barricade was back, and he had a sick new design. I fucking love Barricade's new design. Like, there's, like, the rule of cool, and having punish and enslave on his knuckles, you know, is so stupid, but is so cool at the same time. Oh, damn, forgot to pause that. Well, now you just watch me cough. Anyways, and then the whole element of Megatron getting his body back was completely fucking wasted, like, and skipped. Why did we not see that? I think it's, like, kind of implied or hinted that Megatron got his body back from Quintessa and stuff. Why didn't we see it, though? You know? Show us it. Instead of, you know, Galvatron getting his body back from Quintessa, like, you know, made a new body or whatever, we gotta see, like, random little kids poke around fucking destroyed buildings and shit, you know? You know, that's more important. Anyways, and then they should have done a 6th movie and then do a reboot, you know? Just finish out strong. I'm sure the 6th movie would have brought in a whole bunch of cash, because even though people that were kind of apprehensive about the 5th movie, I mean the 4th movie, and the 5th movie was garbage, look at fucking Jurassic Park, bro. If you make it, people will come. Jurassic World, specifically, you know? Make Transformers 6 and then let's do a reboot. Then I would have been like, yeah, Bumblebee, let's fucking go. Rise of the Beast trilogy? Trilogy if it was a trilogy? Let's fucking go. This sounds nice. I can get down with that. And then Transformers 1 happened. And I only went through this whole long, exaggerated spiel about, like, you know, my personal experience was watching the movies growing up and stuff. So you could get into my personal headspace about where I was specifically with Transformers 1. You know, you go from peak to down to further down to, like, slightly back up and then just middling, because I want to say like Rise of the Beast is a horrible movie. It's just a horrible everything else but a movie. I fucking hate it. You know, I don't hate it. I don't know what I feel, man. Anyways, and then Transformers 1 the trailer for it comes out, and I'm hit with that first trailer with some cringy ass jokes and dialogue looking like, you know, the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Are you fucking serious? Are you serious, bro? That's where we're going with this? I don't know, man. I don't know. And then the movie finally came out on DVD and Blu-ray, 4K. I got the 4K one, you know. And I saw it at my local Walmart. sponsored by Walmart. And I said, all right, damn it, I'll give it a try. And it's all right. You know, I'm not saying it's the best movie of all time. It's not the worst movie of all time, but you know, it's a damn good movie. You know, it's surprising, and I actually liked it a lot more than I thought. I didn't really care for. It's gonna sound weird, but like the extra characters, like Soundwave, Starscream, spoiling, but whatever, I don't care. Soundwave, Starscream, and then like Ironhide and Hound, like all the extra characters being there were like nice padding fan service, but I don't know. Shockwave was there too. I actually completely forgot about that because like the movie barely does any fanfare. For these other characters, they're just kind of there. You know. Oh well, the other characters they probably would have expanded their roles in the future movie. Yeah, maybe not. Doesn't fucking matter. It's not happening. You know. And again, are we even surprised? Because Paramount gave up. Or no, Hasbro gave up. Hasbro said, "We are not financing any more Transformers movies. Now the financing for Transformers movies falls squarely on Paramount's shoulders if they so want to make a movie, whether or not they do. If not, I don't blame them. The Transformer movies have been failing. I think we're going to be in a drought for a while and not get any Transformers movies for a while. Unless, who knows? Maybe they're cooking up something and I look like a complete dumbass. I really hope I do. I love looking like a dumbass, can't you tell? But anyways, maybe they're cooking up some new movie and it's amazing. It blows everybody out of the water. It's everything we could hope for. It's a perfect movie. But do I think that's gonna happen? Sorry, but no, man. I don't think it's gonna happen. Want it to, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So, yeah, Transformers 1, Paramount, well, maybe not Paramount, but Hasbro kind of wanted it to fail. Because if Hasbro can drop out of the movie making business, leave it to Paramount or whoever, and they just focus on their toys, save up some money, and do some other things in the meantime, doesn't that sound like a smart business plan to you? Focus, regroup, and re-effort? Sounds like a sound business plan to me. So, to close out, I just want to re-ask the question. Are you even surprised, that Transformers 1 isn't getting a sequel? Are you even surprised? We all saw it coming. I saw it coming. I knew it was going to happen. I knew when they were still playing the trailers for this movie that it was going to be like the last for a while. The end of a whatever era, I guess you want to call it. Now we're gonna still get some TV shows. That Transformers game is never coming out. Again, I hope I get some I guess karma you would call it, but I hope I look like a dumbass, and like it gets announced tomorrow, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, look at it, the new Transformers, but like, ain't happening, bro. I don't know, man. Look, I've been scavenging reviews. It's been kind of a dour one. Sorry. I'm feeling not the greatest today. I don't know if you can tell. You know. And I got a bit of a headache because I've spent the past like 4 days in a row up to like 4 in the morning. Some, like two of them by choice, two of the others not really. And I'm tired. I'm cranky. You can see like the bags under my eyes. I will catch you guys on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. You know. What does fucking Perspective End say? He's like, I know, you know what to do at the end of these videos. You know? At least I don't do his cringy ass like please like, please subscribe. I fucking hate that. It's so fucking cringy. You know, it's like I might do like gimmick stuff, but like I ain't gonna do that. You know, please like, please subscribe. You know, I fucking hate it. It's like I actively skip the first 10 seconds of every single perspective end video. You know, because I'm not dealing with that. You know. Yeah, yeah. I've been Scavenger.